I'm going to get started with dropping into a centered space of openness for everyone who is here presently and will be present for this playback, to just take a moment to breathe into your center. And there's a feeling that many people hold that they don't have access to this information I'm going to bring through today. And I want to remind you all that you do have access to purified information through your own channel as you increase and develop your trust and relationship with yourself and your higher self, because everything that we see and we experience and that comes through to us is a aspect of our higher self coming to us in a different frequency, and that can range from the dark or more distorted to the light. And so what some people feel is intuition can come through as fear, which is not always accurate, but the channel is there. The key is to clear your channel into a state of love, and then what you receive is always going to be in attunement to your highest potential. So I have access to this gift, but you, I promise, also have access to this gift. And you have your own guides, and you have your own Oshos to connect to. So be sure that you look within for your truth and not just outside. We are able to give gifts when we have these um, channels open and are called to share with others, but it is always a reminder to you that you have this gift as well. But to make sure it's coming through a frequency of unconditional love and non-judgment, and that will be a clear vision. And that's what I have to say about that. So breathe in to open your heart space to receive what is meant for you and what is not meant for you, to be able to release without any discomfort, and just ease. Release what doesn't serve you and receive what does. And so it is. Okay. I can feel the frequencies that you're bringing, Natalia. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I've been actually getting pummeled by Osho about some of these questions, and I'm trying to like simmer down. I want to be in the moment. I don't want to have like my brain having received this stuff before going into it. So I have 11 questions, and so I'm going to try to make them as concise an answer as possible. And Osho is really great about being concise. Honestly, he's like short, sweet, to the point. So between, if there's any questions or commentary, we could do that in the chat. And at the end, hopefully we'll have a time to just kind of integrate some of this stuff. So I appreciate those of you who are present and those of you who offered these questions. I'm so excited. So, all right, a little sip of cacao first. All right, first question. How are women's menstrual cycles tied to our individual and collective awakening? And how may we best utilize this tool at this time? This is such a cool question that I have so many Audrey thoughts on, but I'm gonna tap into Osho on this. There is a planetary experience since the dawn of Gaia and the seeding of humanity on this planet that has offered an innate gift within the feminine vessel to be able to create life with similar elements that Gaia herself has created life. This life force within is a reminder of the law of rhythm, that things move in cycles. Things move in cycles. This experience that women have at this time and over millennia of the expression of this cycle has been distorted through the density that happened upon the fall of humanity into lower frequencies, which separated the feminine from the unity of balance with feminine and masculine. The separation between these two energies, one could say, as the atom split between the two, brought with it a deep sorrow. That sorrow has been experienced in separation through all of humanity, with a emptiness that is thought to be filled with things or people. Because of this separation and this seeking of completion of another or another vibration to fill what is empty, has been a persistent state of dis-ease. And that dis-ease to bring into harmony collectively has been experienced through the collective birthing of feminine energies to purge what is impure. This has brought discomfort and pain in transition. There is not intended to be pain in transition between potential and release of potential, which is what this menstrual cycle was intended to be: a potential and a release of potential that is not actualized. This cycle is a mirror that is experienced with all creation in all things. The birth, incubation period of a human within the potentiality of the womb space is mirrored in all things, that there must be a perfect state of preparation, nurturing, safety, nourishment, containment, and love in order for what is needing to be birthed appropriately, and to be able to, let's say, spread its wings and fly. This comes in forms of humans. This comes in forms of ideas and creation of all types. Some do not make it to maturation. Some creation ideas are miscarried, as you would say. This is not to diminish the sensitivity of these topics of hopes and wishes that are put into these potentials that are released without one's desire to release it. This is a greater question than can be answered briefly, but I would say in the menstrual cycle that women are experiencing at this time, it too is experiencing a release of potentiality from the denser 3D to the higher 5D. There is a dysregulation in transition. What was a one rhythm is going to another rhythm, and in the in-between space there is confusion and chaos. It is like how a DJ may mix one song into another song. There is an in-between period in which you do not know how to dance to what rhythm because it is unclear. That is what is being experienced in the cycle at this time. Many women of different ages are wondering if they are pregnant or if they are going through menopause or perimenopause because of this rhythm being disrupted. It is being asked of Gaia herself that as this in-between period within the mixing of two different frequencies is being played, that this not be internalized through the lens of fear, but instead of the joyous potential of what is coming to be in a new rhythm that is being played, to think instead of the first time you heard your favorite song and discovered something that moved your spirit and vessel in ways that was alchemical. In listening to this tune, you can take sadness to happiness. That is what you are becoming now. You are about to hear your favorite tune. Do not internalize these changes. And with these changes, though, there will be immense amounts of discomfort, as this is a transmutation process of the old into the new. It is a birthing, which is always experienced through the lens of discomfort at this time. There is always discomfort in transformation because it must be fought for, fought for. We must not get caught up in what the discomfort is at this time, but to know that with each contraction, we are closer to the birthing of uh, a new earth. How might your menstruation be used at this time is to go within and note how these changes have changed throughout your life. Note how that is reflected in the rhythm shifts that are being experienced at this time, and note that we are in an in between and this is not forever. Also, do, if called, utilize menstrual blood in a way that you are called. This can look like what many call free bleeding, or this could look like collection and utilization through magic practice. None of this is dark, but has been demonized through millennia of fear of the feminine vessel of being a powerful portal to life. Using these frequencies are deeply held within the Hathor line when women bled together collectively as a community, as a ritual, as a practice, as an honoring. Um, you are being asked to wait upon the revealing of these mysteries in your quiet spaces. I am complete.
Beautiful. Thank you, Audrey.
I am so tingly.
So many things coming through.
So
Mm.
many things coming through. And I have had some of this revealed to me through Isis, in some of these old practices that through the Hathor temple. Um, and that's a whole different conversation. but but it's just so beautiful to the detail. Thank you, Osho. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I
I
only
kept
got one
seeing
done.
the color red, like an explanation. Why is it red? Like red fire. Why is it pure, like almost plasma coming out? And
Mhm.
it's purifying. It's very purifying and healing. It has that capacity. That's in my vision. I kept seeing the colors, and this is important for us to understand that it's not a coincidental why it's red.
It's not.
It's very important.
It is, and that there's no accident that that's associated with the root chakra and being here grounded on the earth, and
Yes.
the iron in the blood, and also the science of noting the color of the menstrual blood as a reflection of the woman's health too,
Exactly.
and what she is purging. And when it is a clear, bright, like red, vibrant red, that is such a healthy space to be in. It's always a reflection of how the woman is experiencing her cycle. There's
Yes.
so much to unpack here. I love this question.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
like
I don't
waters.
know how
I was gonna
it's
say
like
waters
what?
of the earth. Like earth purifies, like the water of the earth is her bloodstream. So that's also like it's
Exactly.
clear and sometimes not. And we show it with our blood. We're like, okay, this is clear right now. The earth feels the clearing, purifying,
Yes.
and sometimes not. We reflect it through our bodies.
Always. And Gaia and I and you and all of us, we are mirrors of each other. And I feel like some of this is just Audrey talking. Some of this is we're transmuting for her too, right? Like
Exactly.
we are expressions of her and we're going to mirror how that's why there's, so much endometriosis and so many
Yes.
cysts and so much uh, trauma around our reproduction is a mirror of how she's been experiencing herself too. So, wow.
Mm.
When I was in college, it was like 2001, I took this ecofeminism class that was all like this theory that the earth is treated how society treats women.
Yes.
And I was just like, it was the only feminism class available. And I was kind of pissed it was that class because I didn't really care about the planet then because I was mostly just like vibing in my best life. And the things I learned in that class still haunt me. Like the woman butterfly who like lived in a redwood tree for over 2 years to save it from
Yes, I
being cut
just saw the
down.
image of her. Yes.
I saw that image yesterday on Instagram and I read that book for that class. If young Audrey had known where I would be today. But yes, yes, yes. Okay, next question. Can we channel beings from inner earth? And is grid work going on there? Yes, I know that. Yes, but I'm gonna go into a little bit more of that. It's Middle Earth looks to be a different timeline of an experience, much like our galactic ancestors are future selves of us. Middle Earth are past timelines of us that are being experienced without distortion of certain access to elemental beings. So people that are drawn to um like Dungeons and Dragons and things of that nature, more of that Middle Earth vibration, like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, the people who are really drawn to that hold a frequency that is similar to a star seed as a very earthy star seed that goes within. So these are often people that hold different frequencies within their brain that don't fit, quote, into society as easily through structures of quote norm. These individuals that associate very fluidly with Middle Earth are he's saying are associated with being nerds, but that's not what it is. He's saying that's not what it is at all. Middle Earth is a real place, but it is a different timeline. He's saying that over and over. It's a different timeline in which there was no separation between humans and the elementals. However, density did anchor in to this timeline. And so there's experience of conflict, and there's distorted masculine that presents itself there in ways that are much different and more what we would call primitive. But he's showing me like continents that we have, but it's in Middle Earth. So there are separate cultures within Middle Earth. It's not just Middle Earth is Middle Earth and that's what Middle Earth is. It's like us. It has this diverse quality to it of these different ranges where I'm seeing like there's an area of giants and an area of smaller beings and areas of fairies. I'm seeing like instead of us being separated by race and culture in our world, in Middle Earth, there are some separations and intersections between what we know as mystical qualities of beings that used to be in fluidity with the surface of Earth, but they withdrew to go within. They used to have a fluid relationship with us, but there was a separation. It's a separation much like the fall of man, quote unquote. The fall of man split uh, the masculine and the feminine, but it also split like the yolk from the white of the egg. This is what I'm seeing, this egg thing coming up again. It's the splitting through like a membrane, almost like what we call a firmament. What we experience as a firmament within is experienced as a denser type of membrane that separates us from being able to really truly access what is in the middle. And there's so it's a perceived separation. But so I'm seeing that there's like Middle Earth, there's us, and then there's this galactic firmament. Well, it encases outer Earth in this atmosphere. That's the firmament, and then it goes galactic, and then there's infinite firmaments of different layers of existence that go on and on and on, like from a quark all the way to a person. It just goes on and on and on. The systems, it's the law of correspondence. And so we can grid infinitely inward and infinitely outward. Um, and that looks like systems or subatomic systems. It's all a matter of there's no separation. It's all through quantum entanglement. Our intention through the law of mentalism does not allow for any kind of separation through time and space. So our thought of gridding is gridding. There is no separation in that. So uh, I have done gridding with Middle Earth and dragons to connect Middle Earth dragons with galactic dragons, so that they would no longer be separate in their different emanation of self, much like the triple goddess, maiden mother crone. They have to be integrated into a singular divine feminine in order to be whole. So did these different frequencies of Middle Earth, Earth, and galactic dragons to tie them together. This is also that's grid work with Middle Earth frequencies. So any aspect of Middle Earth can experience grid work. And it's really about tying them together with what is happening ascension wise, because if one thing is affected in a machine, it affects everything else in the machine. As we ascend, so is Middle Earth. What I see is that there are like gates that are being opened between the worlds. They're like portals that are going to allow for a more fluid relationship when there is this integration of all of these different frequencies together. The separation is over, is what I'm hearing. It is past. It is still in the in-between frequency, but we are no longer going to perceive these things as separate and in fantasy movies and books and playing games. These are going to be our realities, but healed realities. They're not going to possess the discord, is what I'm hearing. There will be no discord. I'm complete. That was cool. I was just seeing this
Beautiful.
plethora of imagery in the Middle Earth that was like fun. I wanted to like go. It was like a Ren fair, you know.
Yes. And when you mention connecting two dragons that are at a different frequency, but still they are at the dragon frequency and unifying them together, it's so beautiful. I visualize that process and it's fascinating because oftentimes it's like they go parallel almost, like they're not able, it's like a blind spot. But once they are aware of each other,
And
it
that's what it
creates this
is.
field of expansion. Exactly. It's like, I see you, let's
Chills
expand.
everywhere.
Let's co-create. Let's do something together. It's so beautiful.
Well, it's like our multi-soul integration, right? When we come into all
Yeah.
of our aspects of self, we have more capacity to do more, be more, experience more. And the same is true of our dragon selves. So, further, as we integrate with our dragon selves that integrate with their Middle Earth and galactic selves, we are
Yes.
all unified. Oh my gosh, we're all connected. It's
I
crazy.
love that.
Oh, this is your question. Why do we not retain dream experience in our memory when we wake up? Shoot, I'm excited to know this. I don't know why.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, I feel like there's so many great activations and lessons inside the dream. And then you remember it briefly, and we retain maybe like 1%, or like very big dreams we do remember, but it's such a small percentage. And I'm curious why we're not applying this information here. Could that be so helpful?
Wouldn't it?
Yes.
Like I try to like, grasp
Like
onto
I
it
was
just a little bit
flying
more.
inside the dream. If only I remembered how to activate it here,
How did I
right?
do that? Yeah, I can't wait to find out the answer to this bad boy. Cool. I want some crystals for this. Okay. I've got like a spear and a golden lemurian. This is great. Okay. In these, which is again, our dreams are a reflection of our connection and also separation from the spirit realm, with what our physical vessels are able to hold with the frequency we are living in. So our bodies, when we go into a dream state, our brains are at a different frequency to receive. It's, think of it as a radio station. And so when we are on that radio station and we are listening to, let's say, classic rock, um, that is our dream state, listening to classic rock. But when we wake up, our frequency has shifted to potentially like a news channel or to a symphony broadcast. It is a different tune completely. So while you're listening to a frequency of, God, I hope you're not listening to the news. That's just me saying that. If you're listening to a frequency of, say, the news, you're not able to remember the tune of the song you heard on the classic rock station. If you've had that experience of trying to explain to somebody, oh, you know that song, it goes like this. Oh, shoot, I can't come up with it because there's background music. What? It's gonna drive me crazy. How did the lyrics go? So when you are unable to grasp that in your wake state, that is very similar to the frequency of your dreams, and not being able to remember the tune of that song while you're listening to another song. That is the challenge. He's showing me that because it's all literally frequent. All of it is frequency. Everything is frequency, period. The law of vibration. But from that frequency is the key. We just have to hold the frequency of that classic rock station that we were listening to when we were sleeping in a conscious state, which is through a meditative state. Um, he's saying if you're able to tune into the frequency, especially with your intention, as you bring into intention often dreams that you have forgotten because you were at a different frequency, if you intentionally go into a meditative state, and I'm seeing very specifically with the intention of going into the frequency of the dream that you would like to remember. And even if you don't remember, that you have forgotten, but you want to remember, just opening up to your higher self with the intention of, I would like to be at the frequency of the dream that I have forgotten that would be of use to me at this time. You are able then to focus on that as your point. I'm seeing like a bullseye, like for archery practice, and you can just shoot arrow after arrow after arrow, but you have to come into a hyper focus of the center bullseye, like I'm seeing like a hawk hunting a mouse. And I learned last week they go 120 miles an hour as they are lunging to hunt like a mouse. in a field, and they could break their neck that way, but they don't because they're hyper focused. And that's what you have to do, is to tune specifically to that tune. And there's I hear a lot of chatter of like, how do I know that I've hit that tune? How do I know what tune that is? You don't have to know. You don't have to actually have a dial, but you can look at the dial and try to tune in with the intention. Makes it so we forget how powerful we are. So as to not overthink it, to tune into the frequency of the dream I had last night, I am going to sit in this meditative state and to do just that. Once you can do that with a state of stillness, that's really important. He's saying to be in a state of stillness and to not focus on, am I there yet? Am I there yet? Like, don't get into head, but open heart. Always open your heart to receive the frequency that you were at, to be able to remember what you need to know. He's saying, in terms of what was said around flying, that some of us are not able to access information at the frequency we are living at as a collective right now, because it is not yet time to know the modalities with which those things can be completed. However, everything that you wish to complete in the physical at this time, you can also complete on the astral at any time. So if you wish to know how to fly, but you cannot remember your dream, you can still do so while stepping into a lucid dreaming state, which many people consider daydreaming, but turned up. It is in a place of stillness and not being interrupted, and doing so with an element of inner child play and open-hearted love space, instead of control and a desire to create very specific realities. It is a co-creation with your higher self, and an opportunity to tune into a frequency of this co-creation as a modality that is a precursor to the potentiality of birthing new things into our physical reality. It is all a matter of a personal and internal evolution through the law of mentalism to create a potential and then birth it through the law of mentalism, in through the law of vibration, into the physicality of your realm. I am complete.
That was amazing. Thank
Wow, that was
you.
really rapid too. Like he was like,
When you started answering, it's like I started receiving answers too at the same
oh
time.
god,
It was like together.
yay!
And what resonated a lot when you said practice, and when we dream, it's a practice field. There's no laws inside the dream. In reality, there are, as you know, the universal laws we
I've
follow.
noticed.
And there we practice in our manifestations, projection, like anything goes. Anything you can create, visualize is there. And then I even got this message from like a dream council that oversees the dreams, and
Nice.
then sees like, okay, this person can have more gifts activated because they have this purity of visual even inside the dream. And then they are granted those gifts to manifest in reality. So it's really like a
Chills
practice field. Yes, I love
everywhere.
that. So
Thank you for bringing that in.
thank you.
Oh,
It's
that feels
because
so right.
sometimes, yes, and sometimes dreams are so wild. You're like, what is happening? But it's really, we're practicing, and anything goes. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's
And I
like
love that
God
you have a
training camp.
course. Yes, I love that you have a course on laws of correspondence
Yes.
and different natural laws, because it's so important for people to understand why are they here. Because if
Well, and
it'll be
it'll
chaos.
truly, but then the laws let you create. They let you be that creator. And without
Yes,
mastering them,
expand.
you don't get the keys. You don't get the keys to create your universe until you know the laws, because otherwise you're an asshole. And you're breaking the laws all the time. And these
Yeah.
aren't like cop laws, because screw those, but like these are laws of how everything is ordered infinitely. This is so cool. I'm so
I
glad
love that.
that you are here to reflect these things. Okay. How are we doing on time? We can do it. We can do it. We can do it.
Yes.
How can I learn to understand what and who I am channeling? Okay. I already know the answer to that is You are channeling yourself, but okay. I'm gonna see what he has to say. So when a person is channeling through their vessel, the clear vessel or unclear vessel, what you receive is going to be received through the lens, through that filter of what your vessel is. So some people feel it is important to recognize that vibration through an entity that is familiar to them or potentially unfamiliar to them through deities and known beings that have been given names and faces through mythology or ancient teachings. These tonalities range through every pantheon of mythology in frequency. It is important to understand this is all frequency. So neither is good or bad. There are fierce and creative goddesses that are in every pantheon, from Kali Ma to Shakti energy in the Hindu tradition are destruction or creation, fertility or disintegration. Everything is in a cycle going from love to chaos, love to chaos. That is how creation and destruction moves. So these faces that are given to us and names are often given to us to simply be able to identify what vibration and what frequency we are channeling. All of these frequencies are aspects of ourselves in our own path, in our own hero's journey of where we are beginning and where we are going to just to simply begin again. These are opportunities to learn ourselves a lot more as we are contributing to the brain cells of the all to understand itself more. The all being the great Sophia within this realm. Uh, there are creators beyond what we know as creation in this realm that go on infinitely inward and outward. What we know as the Mother Sophia is what we are referring to often when we are speaking of the all. That all wishes to know itself more, which is experienced through fractalized creation in all things. We are a piece of that, that we then, as alls, get to experience every facet, every frequency of that range of creation from beginning to end and beginning again, which is contributing to this knowledge of the all of herself, to know herself more. So we must always understand that what we are channeling is an aspect of an aspect of an aspect that is existing infinitely inward and outward. And there is no good or bad here. And it does matter at times for people to understand the name of what they are channeling or the being that they're channeling in order that they may be able to seek more knowledge and understanding around that. It is important also to release the desire to know specifically what that is if it is not given to you, because that is an opportunity for you to learn to release the desire to know. If you are given the information, it is gifted to you to know, to follow breadcrumbs, to seek further what frequency you are at and how that may serve you to either release or dig deeper into what is meant for you. We would invite you, if you are seeking to know the frequency you are channeling, which again is a reflection of yourself, which is a reflection of herself, of the all of the Sophia, which is also an emanation of another all and another and another. Are you understanding? This is infinite. This is a fractal that goes infinitely inward and outward. You are part of that. Celebrate that you are part of that. If you wish to know more specifically what that looks like, ask that your higher self reveal his or herself to you in more numerous ways, and it will be given to you in synchronicities in your environment, in words and themes that are brought up around you over and over and over to reveal itself further. But we do invite you to release the desire to know all, because it is all felt and known through the heart space. That is always your truth. We are complete. Danny! I opened my eyes to see Danny. I'm so happy. And you got a fairy on your
Hi.
chest. I feel like that's me. I feel like that's me. That's us at Fairy Falls in Shasta. Oh my gosh, I missed that. That was amazing. Um, wow, that was
That's
a
so,
cool answer to that question.
yes, it was amazing, Audrey. And I also blinked and then Danny appeared out of nowhere, out of the frequency. It was so amazing. And
He
I
all
think,
created Danny for us.
yes. And I was like also weaving the frequencies with my closed eyes, and
Mhm.
then boom, Danny, the masculine needed to be present
Yes.
here. So powerful. And what you said, I love that you, Osho, answered that um, the frequency doesn't necessarily need to be named. It's not about the names or description, it's just how you feel into that frequency. What frequency does it, how do you feel embodied in that frequency when you channel? And then the answer will come. It's angelic, or it's a dragon, or Sophia. It's just it's a feeling more than like naming it. And
Yes.
it was so powerful.
I think too, it makes a lot of sense with my own path because we go through these periods where we have different guides that are like the themes in your world and you work with a certain guide for a while. And then I've noticed that as my frequency changed, I would get new guides. And
Exactly.
it was like I was moving through basically the Kabbalah tree of life. I was climbing up in frequency to so I wasn't in tune with this guide anymore. That guide holds that frequency, and once I was able to get through that, I went to a different guide. But those started with some denser frequencies that were beautiful, like Anana that I brought through in the Sisterhood of the Rose. I Inanna was my entry point goddess, and she was in the underworld, which I was in. So it makes complete sense that it was a face I needed to be able to seek more of that history. But I could have just hit that frequency and not needed a name for it. But at the time, I think that that served me best to have a name.
Yes, beautiful. And sometimes we use like the frequency, like you said, Sophia is many different frequencies at the same time, like
Mm-hmm.
mother, and could be Kali. Sophia depends what resonates with people. And it's just so powerful, just sometimes to give a name to people to receive the activation, because right away they picture and visualize that powerful frequency, and that's also powerful.
Oh my goodness. Yes. This is all good.
Yeah, I love
Danny, I'm
this.
so happy to see you. I'm so happy to see. I can't even take it. I want to squeeze your face, but I can't
What was
really reach
Danny's
it because you're so
question?
tall. I'm almost to it.
We should skip to Danny's question.
We should. We should. What?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll skip to Danny's. There is one I do really want to answer besides that too. So, okay. But gosh, Danny's question's great. So I'm going to actually do two more questions. Shoot, there's so many I want to answer. Okay. Okay. I'm going to try to plow through. Danny's question first. What is the best way to ask for help without giving away your sovereignty? Such a good question. This can serve so many people. Okay. We're redefining right now what it looks like to be in communion with other beings, systems, collectives. And we are currently in a state of releasing any kind of subconscious messaging around what it looks like to be part of these groups of beings, either interpersonal relationships, collectives, anything from an individual intimate relationship to what we are seeing as like a country or beyond that. Everything is a system going inward and outward. We have the system of ourself that we must be able to ask for help and receive help from ourselves And then beyond that, we learn how to engage with other, I'm seeing elements like on the periodic table, molecules, like how they react to each other when they come into contact. And so, as we're in an ascension process, we are being challenged within an awareness of being in an ascension process when not all beings or systems have also ascended yet, as we are ascending. So it's like we have an awareness that is not yet an awareness of the collective. So we're again in this in between space of the DJ mixing two songs together. And so there is uh, there's this discomfort in the unknown of being able to live within the frequency that we know is our truth, while the rest of the world is not yet at that frequency. And so what is being asked of us is actually to shed our um like we can't play with certain people anymore that aren't at the frequency that will allow for that new ascended outlook of interpersonal relationships and reciprocity in sovereignty. So they have to be sovereign beings that you're coming into contact with that are not distorted, in order for you to be able to comfortably maintain your sovereignty when creating boundaries, which is also asking for help. When you create a boundary, you're saying, I need for this structure to be this way in order for me to not be depleted. And that is your sovereignty, to not be depleted, to stand in your power, speak your truth, and live authentically and not be depleted. Everything is sovereignty, is to hold onto your personal power and not give it away. And so any relationship that one holds within the self, the other, or the collective is to be in alignment, to not push back against that sovereignty. So if there is pushback against sovereignty, it is not in alignment with your highest purpose in your ascension path, and it will be shed in one way or another. Whether you are quote spat out from that situation because it is not in alignment, or you spit that situation out because you cannot tolerate it anymore. When you're in your sovereignty, you are able to unapologetically create boundaries which are witnessing your godhood and witnessing the godhood in others without judgment on either end. So if you are needing help because you are depleted, there is a boundary that is needing to be set so that you are not leaking sovereign power, if that makes sense. So it is asking you to look in your world to see what is leaking the power to even need to ask for help within your sovereignty. You must stop the leak. Once that leak has stopped, you must bring back your power, call back your power from all time, space, and dimensions into yourself. And if you are still feeling that you are in need of help, this word is tainted in this realm. The word help is associated with being weak, and it is not that. Help is actually intended and may need to be reworded for us individually to another tone or frequency that is not tainted with the way help has been tainted at this time. Instead, perhaps the word assist or lift up or um, co-create into a state of unity. There are many different ways to look at it that don't bring the heaviness of the word help, which makes one feel as though they are not enough and that they are needing something more from outside of themselves. When we, if we're in our sovereignty, are completely whole, it is a matter of not allowing someone else's projections of us not being whole to anchor as our truth inside of ourselves. Because if we know we are whole and sovereign, and our world reflects that in our individual and collective relationships and interactions, despite our world being at a frequency that is not yet ascended, we as ascended way showers must really create a template for what it looks like to have these reciprocal sovereign relationships. It is okay to ask to be lifted up from someone who is also sovereign, who sees your godhood and beauty and wishes to bring you into a state of wholeness through their healing capacity out of absolute love. That is the frequency that must be tonally present in all things in one's life. In order to receive help, we must also have an open heart to receive it. Many times we have help available to us, but we are not able to receive it for feelings of worthiness. So it is a matter of seeing our godhood, witnessing the godhood in others, allowing others to assist us in pulling back our sovereign power into our place of godhood if it has been leaked, to cut off that leak through boundaries and then receive what assistance is being offered through that mutual witnessing of godhood, as we are all reflections of each other. I am complete.
That was beautiful. Thank
Yeah,
you,
thank
Audrey and
you.
Ash.
Thank
I
you, Danny,
loved
for
how,
asking that question.
yes, I loved how you connected help to other words, because it does not like it's not a whole identification of that word that we understand. It is asking, like, show me, help is show me how I can be that sovereign embodiment through unconditional love without judgment. That's like an expensive definition of the word, but oftentimes we don't want to ask for help because we don't know how to define what we need to receive in a way. And it's so powerful the way you connected the words.
That shocked me. I didn't know that was coming. Didn't know that was coming. So we're at the hour, but I do want to answer Ruby's question because Ruby's
Yes,
here.
Ruby Ann. Hi.
That's important. There, I want to quickly say, because there is another question that has a very quick answer that I can just say immediately. The question was, tell me about the metaphysical properties of Arabic and the effects of listening to the Quran. Is the Quran a light language of sorts? And I wanted to answer because as soon as I read this, I got like plowed with information. I would say very specifically, listening to the Quran is actually a very purified, beautiful, beautiful frequency, but it is received by the frequency of the vessel that's receiving it, which can distort or make pure or keep pure what is brought through, much like people who are like distorting the Bible into hateful teachings. Those pure frequencies can be distorted into something that is used negatively. I believe in my path, the Quran has actually hit me in ways that just blow me out of the water. When I listen to the chanting of the Quran, which I have had access to, it has brought me to tears. I don't understand what I'm hearing, but it does, because everything's frequency, which is what light language is. It's a frequency, it's an activation. It is a very, very pure message. The Quran is a very pure message. And also Muhammad, like, come on, like his story is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So if anybody hasn't actually dug into what the true teachings there are, I would, if you're guided and it's on your path, keep in mind in our reincarnation journeys, many of us have been Muslim before because it is such a large religion. I have chills everywhere. Oh my gosh. I have a life in Turkey, and I was just yes, I'm very connected to the Quran, and it's so beautiful, and I just want everyone to understand it's all frequency. Everything is frequency. We will receive, like, if you've ever had a conversation with someone who's pissed off and they're talking about something that's happened and you were there and you have completely different accounts of what happened, it's because their frequency was different, so they were seeing their reality through a different lens, and you were also. And so you're saying what happened, but it's a different story completely. It's because they're both true from that different filter. And so to not taint what the world has created out of religions and all this messaging gets screwed up with people's darkness and damage. But the true teachings are beautiful. That's what I have to say about that. Any
Beautiful.
commentary on the Quran, because it's so beautiful. Okay, Ruby, does Osho have anything to say about the major frequency change coming this November? I actually want to know the answer to this question because I am going to Sedona for the 1111 portal with Trinity. It's going to be so cool. So let's see. Okay, so showing me images right now. So it's if we were doing like a slow motion film and we were throwing like a bunch of what would be a good example of this? Like a bunch of, those seeds from trees that they kind of spin when they fall. They have two sides, they're like wings, and they spin when they fall. If you had a handful of those and you threw them up in the air, they'd all be spinning in these different little whirlwinds, and eventually they would land in a space. And I'm seeing that the 8-8 portal flew all of these up in the air, and they're all in the slow motion twirling to the ground. In November, they're all starting to land at different times on the ground. So it's like everything is disheveled, but 11 I heard 11/11, but like November as a whole, it I see them landing at different times, like throughout the entire month. There these little frequencies are landing, and they look like they're tying uh it's like embroidery. They're tying one piece of a picture to the whole. So if this is so cool. So let's say if the earth grid, like we look at the earth as a grid, there's a new pattern that has been put into the grid of earth since the 8-8 portal, and it's being sewn to the earth. And each one of those little twirling seeds from this tree that are falling at different paces, they're a stitch that anchors that into the picture. So it starts becoming more clear. And it doesn't happen all at once. It's throughout all of November, and it bleeds in a little bit into December. I'm seeing like a week into December, but that's the stitch, and it's creating a picture. And I want to see what the picture is. So I'm trying to go up above the earth. It's actually making so I'm seeing what it was before was like a fractured flower of life that was like a mirror that had been smacked in the middle with a fist. So it had fractures and distortions, kind of like funhouse mirror of this flower of life everywhere, going in different directions. But this restitching is stitching it to the original flower of life, like the original blueprint. and each stitch is happening throughout November to anchor it, and it goes into December by about a week. But there's so much about the elections in the US which I don't pay any attention to, like zero attention, but I'm seeing that that is some of that whirling that's happening in November, and the landing, because there's so much up in the air right now. As it lands, these stitches go into place, and the distortions of the mirror are no longer our reality. It feels like it's like going back into place to make that perfect flower of life. I'm complete.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
That was a really cool vision.
Yes, when you said like weaving and embroidery and patterns, I just pictured we all carry, how we can all like create little patches and then make
Yes.
one big blanket when we tie it in
Yes.
together. So it's literally in a way
Yes.
grid working. We're just like, I have this little patch, my frequency, where does it match? And then together we're like puzzle pieces that connecting together in November, December. It's going to be like a big, I don't know, like cohesive wholeness connection, one big blanket.
Yes, I love that. It reminds me of the movie How to Make an American Quilt with Winona Ryder in the 90s. None of you probably know about that, but it was really
I
bringing
can picture it.
together.
Yes,
It was all
exactly.
these women that were different ages that were had made their square, and it was their storytelling. The movie is their storytelling of what their square represented, and it's this lesson that they learned, and they would do a flashback to what happened, and it's all in different eras because they're women of all ages. And when they all sewed them together, it was this divine feminine unity that was so powerful and just made me freaking weep,
I love
because
that.
we are all these storytellers that bring our own frequency into this patchwork of all of humanity that is contributing again to the all knowing more about herself. And we're all mirrors of each other. And it's really just beautiful.
So beautiful. Thank you.
And with that, I think I will wrap this up, and I'm going to send out the replay probably by the end of the day, depending on how long it takes to process. But thank you guys for being present. Natalia, everything you added. And is that goldenrod behind you? That the flowers that are behind, the yellow ones? They look like goldenrod, which
Possibly. I didn't
I
even
have
see.
been harvesting goldenrod. It's good
I
for your
love that.
allergies. It's wonderful. The herbs are just talking to me. So
Yes.
and Danny, I love you so much. I don't think that you were here for all of what I was talking about around Middle Earth. But you're going to be interested because I kept seeing Castle Fest or whatever that you were at. And I have to tell you, the journal that you gave me at Shasta, I'm using it as my herb journal of what herbs I'm creating into tinctures and what it's used for. And it's like homemade paper. And so it feels so witchy and awesome. So thank you.
Cool.
I love you both. Thank you, Ruby, for being
Thank you.
here. And
So much
I
love,
will,
Audrey and Osho. Thank you for
yes, thank
channeling.
you,
It's such a
Alicia.
powerful
Yeah,
frequency.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank
Oh, cool.
you.
Bye, guys.